this video, I'm going to teach you all about slash chords so you can better understand sheet music when you see them coming up and also add some spice to your guitar playing. Hi, I'm Tomas Michaud from Real Guitar Success, where I help you learn guitar and, more importantly, to love your guitar learning journey. Let's take a good look at slash chords. You'll see them come up in sheet music, but also when you understand them, you can figure it out on your own without actually knowing the fingering form. But to make sure, I'm going to show you 3 very common ones, so when you see them, you'll recognize them right away, and you can start playing around with them as well. First, let's step into my music education lab and take a look at what slash chords are. Chords are created using a combination of notes. So you might learn over time that when you see the symbol for a C chord, that means you're going to be using the C, E, and G notes. You don't have to memorize that. Most of us just memorize a form that means a C form. But what you might not know is that C letter doesn't actually tell you the order of the notes. So the C/G is a way for us to indicate a certain order. In this case, we're just indicating what the bass note will be. So the C chord has a C note, E note, and a G note in it. When we write C/G, we're saying we want that G note in the bass. When you have a D chord, the symbol for a D chord is just D, it doesn't again tell you what the order of the notes will be. But if you write D/F, you're telling the guitar player, put the F in the bass. Use a chord form on the guitar that has the F in the bass note. And then finally, you'll see we have a G chord. The G consists of a G, B, and D notes. And if you were to write G/B, you're telling them to put the B in the bass. In this case, that's the third of the chord. It doesn't matter. You can use any note to put in the bass. You can see in this case, we're asking to put the 5th note in the bass. In this case, it's actually the 3rd in the bass. Okay, let's go over to the guitar and I'll show you what these actually look like. The slash chords that I just explained are 3 of the most commonly used slash chords, the ones that will come up most often in sheet music. Let's start with the C/G. We can take a regular C chord and make the G in that bass by taking the 3rd finger, taking it off, and moving it over to the 6th string 3rd fret. Now, the 5th string I'm actually deadening out by slightly touching it with my 3rd finger there. So when I play it, it's playing the 6th string and then the rest of the strings. That makes a C chord with the G note in the bass. This is a very common form. It's very easy to finger, and it allows you to even change the bass note if you're doing something with the bass note. One common place I use this chord is coming from a G. Then I move my 1st and 2nd finger over to make that C/G. You might recognize this. This is a standard chord change for the Eagles. It's used in Take It Easy, as well as a few of their other songs. Now for the D/F sharp. This allows me to make a lower bass note in the D chord. When you play the common folk D chord like this, you've got the bass note right here, but it's much higher pitched than like a nice full G or an E chord. So by adding the F sharp in the bass note, you get a nice full chord like the E. So a good way to finger that is to use the 1st finger for the bass note, and then the 2nd, 3rd, and pinky to form that D chord again. Looks like that. Now a common fingering that's actually a little bit easier is coming from the G chord. I just move my 2nd finger down, my 3rd finger goes over to the 3rd string, and the pinky covers that 3rd fret on the 2nd string. Now I'm actually just deadening out that 1st high string, which you don't really notice, huh? Listen. So both are useful. This is a common one I use in finger picking. Might sound something like this. Now for that G/B. This is a fairly easy one. It's often coming from the C chord. I move my 2nd finger over to the 2nd string and the pinky down on the high E string. So that's a G/B. So here's a full G chord. Now notice I could make that chord by just taking off the second finger and playing the B and the bass note. But I'm not actually hitting that high E anyway, so it's an easy fingering coming from the C chord to just use the second and pinky. Now you might recognize this, it's used in Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. As well as many other songs. So there are many other forms of slash chords, not quite as common as these. Another one could be an A with a C sharp in the bass. Or an F with a C in the bass. I'm covering the C with my third finger here and making the F chord. It's a good one to go back to the C chord. And many, many more. The purpose of slash chords is to create a certain sound that the songwriter wanted, or to enhance the bass note progression. For example, this one, I'm going down with bass notes, so the B is the right bass note to include there. I'd encourage you to try some different chords and try making your own slash chords. There's no real right or wrong. For example, I could take a D chord and put a G in the bass. I'd have to refinger a little bit. Not a common chord, but it is used. Or another example is I have an F chord and I want a G in the bass. I move my third finger over. It's actually a pretty chord. I'm Tomas Michaud. Let me know in the comments if you found this video helpful. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and click that little bell. Remember, learning guitar is a journey, not a destination. Let me know any way I can help you to better love your guitar learning journey. Bye for now.